Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me and honoring me. It's a special privilege to be able to speak to, we call Teneka Shel Beis Rabban, students in yeshiva, the Rebbe's yeshiva. And we're living through right now a very challenging time. As in many ways, every aspect of our lives have been disrupted, whether it's even like we have to do classes online, people not being able to go to work. We all know Pesach, plans, summer plans, everything is up in the air. So there are a lot of questions that people are having. You know, what is Hashem's plan here? What's going on? Everything that we relied on and expected to be dependable just a few months ago is now, is there going to be summer camp? What's going to happen next year, next few months? So I want to just begin with two very powerful stories with the Rebbe, because we take direction from the Rebbe. But I want to say one thing before I say that, because that all of us know families, and maybe our own families that are suffering. I want to give a bracha that the Shlichus of our talking and learning should be a refuah shlema v'kreva to everyone who needs healing and recovery, people in the hospitals and, God forbid, struggling. And the Eibishter B'chlal should protect us all and be strong and healthy, and we should only come out stronger through this whole process. So that said, let me share two stories. One story I'm going to share is about myself, something that happened. You may know that I worked for many years at Rebbe's Shlichus. I was a chayzer and a maniach, which meant I was one of the few that memorized the Rebbe's words on Shabbos and Yom Tov when there were no recordings. And the second thing, a maniach, means I wrote it down after Shabbos Yom Tov for publication. The Rebbe would edit and review it. Here's not the place to go into the details, but that's what I did for many, many years. So in Tov Shinun, which would be exactly actually 30 years ago, Erev Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, my father, Olav Shalom, Gershon Ber Jacobson, who was an editor of the Allgemeine Journal, and was very close to the Rebbe in many ways. He ended up, God forbid, in the hospital. He had a mini stroke, and he had to be Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Le'eleinu, in the hospital. Erev Yom Kippur, I was summoned by the Rebbe. The Rebbe would give lekach honey cake. So in the years before that, the Rebbe would give to everybody. But in that year already, Tov Shinun, 1989, the Rebbe was only giving it to a select few people. And so I went over to the Rebbe's door, Kaneg Natachten, where the Rebbe stood by the door. He gave me, I believe it was one or two pieces of lekach. And the Rebbe said the following to me. Listen to this. He said, tell your father that this is lekach, I'm giving him lekach, should be a sweet and healthy year. Then the Rebbe smiled, and he said to me, tell your father that when he will finish the Shlichus for which he was sent to the hospital, they'll release him from there. The Rebbe said in Yiddish, as et verendig in the Shlichus, was mit dem dorten geschickt, wird von dort nach Reis gelost werden. That's what the Rebbe said. I went straight to the hospital, Brookdale. I brought the cake, I told my father, and my father understood, and he began to talk to doctors. He had his shlichus, whatever it was. Just to show you that it was not just a nice, cute joke, the Rebbe actually sent Rabbi Chadakov, the Rebbe's chief of staff, his head secretary, came to my father after Yom Kippur. This was Erev Yom Kippur. A day after Yom Kippur, and he tells my father that Rebbe wants to know whether you finished your shlichus. Now, thank God my father came out of there, which meant he finished the shlichus. But think about this for a second. Who goes to a hospital? God forbid. Only someone who has to go to a hospital. No one goes to hospital for fun. You don't go to hospital to enjoy yourself. You go because, God forbid, something is not right, and you need care. You need medical care. You need constant medical care. And yet the Rebbe, despite the fact that my father had a mini stroke and had issues, the Rebbe sees it, no, it's a shlichus. Even in an uncomfortable, even in an unpleasant place, it's your shlichus. That's story number one. Story number two is what happened in 1979. Tovshin Lametes. Neshei B'nai Chabad has a midwinter convention every year. midwinter in some city in the country, in the United States. That year was in Detroit. So a group of women from New York went there for a convention. They had classes, talks, get-togethers, It was throughout the week. Then the plan was, the convention was over on Thursday, and they were coming back Friday to be with their families home for Shabbos. Problem was, a snowstorm broke out in New York, a big snowstorm. So the flights were canceled. So they wrote or they called the secretary and they told the Rebbe, we're stuck in the snow. We're stuck in the snow. That's what people say, right? We're stuck in the snow because we can't come back. And we want the Rebbe to give a bracha. We should be able to come home to our families for Shabbos. The Rebbe wrote a tzedel, which I have, in his own handwriting. He edited it later. And let me just tell you the point of this, of what the Rebbe answered. Very similar. The Rebbe writes, Lepella, I'm surprised. I'm even shocked by the fact that you tell me you're stuck. Everyone knows that everything is by Hashgacha Pratis, divine providence. Everyone knows what the Baal Shem Tov says, that we have to learn from everything we see and hear. And not only do we know, you probably talked about it at the convention, but you forgot to take it to heart that it means you as well, not just others. Here you have a sign from heaven. What better sign is snow? Snow doesn't fall from the earth. It falls from heaven. It's a sign from heaven to tell you that you didn't finish the job there, that you still have work to do, either at the airport or on the way to the airport or in the city. And that's why Hashem sent a snowstorm to tell you that you have to now do with a storm, the Rebbe emphasized, with a storm spreading more Yiddishkeit and more Chassidus and more Torah and more mitzvahs. And when you'll finish the mission for which you were sent to do things with a storm, the storm of the snowstorm will stop and you'll be able to come home. That was the answer. So after Shabbos, that's what they did. After Shabbos, the snow started subsiding, it stopped, and they were able to come, and the Rebbe wrote to them, now that you finished your mission, it's clear. So now Hashem stopped the snow, so you should be able to come home. What's the point I want to tell you? This is a tremendous lesson in life, b'chlal, in general, especially now. We say, we're stuck in our homes, many people say. Pesach, we wanted to be with our larger families, with grandparents. We all had to do it very close, everyone in their own way, but just almost with only immediate family or just alone. You have to remember the Eibishter runs the world. We don't run the world. It's not in our control. The Eibishter, for whatever mysterious reason, which we don't know, wanted us to be Pesach in seclusion, basically. The travel plans and everything else, that's not what the plan was. Now you could say it's uncomfortable. It may be uncomfortable. Snowstorm can be uncomfortable. Being in a hospital for my father was uncomfortable. He had a stroke. But that's the Shlichus now. The same Hashem that wanted you to be on Shlichus in your schools and yeshiva 2 months ago wants you now to be learning this way. Same Eibishter. That's why when people say, for example, I can't go to a minyan, can't go to the mikveh, they're telling us we can't. No, it's not can't. The same Eibishter that said go to a mikveh and daven with a minyan is saying now, I am telling you that the mitzvah is a different one. It's to daven at home. And mikveh is not for now. Because there's a pandemic, there's pikuach nefesh, there's danger. So it's not that we are resigning ourselves or surrendering. The same Eibishter, we have a Torah. When the Frierdiker Rebbe was arrested, and before Yud Beis Tammuz, right, he was arrested. So they asked the Frierdiker Rebbe, he was not cooperating with them. So they asked him, Rabbi, in Russian, I assume, or Yiddish, do you know where you are? They wanted to frighten him. They wanted to intimidate him. Do you know where you are? You know what he answered? Yes, I'm in a place that's potter from a mezuzah. Because in a mezuzah, we know we put on all the doors except the bathroom. You don't put it also on a stall, on a barn, where animals are. He was basically saying, I'm in a place where also you don't put it on a pig pen, where chazerim are. So Frierdiker Rebbe said it in his way. It's a place that's potter from a mezuzah. The Rebbe says in the Fabrengen, why did the Frierdiker Rebbe answer that? Frierdiker Rebbe was being mamshich, what Hashem wants. The same Eibishter that says put a mezuzah on your regular door tells you don't put one in this place. So you're mekayim a mitzvah by not putting a mezuzah. So it makes us think that the shlichus the Eibishter sends will be many types. Some will say do something, sometimes don't do something. Same Eibishter. If Torah says in Paskins that you're not allowed to go to a minyan because there's danger, that's the same Torah that told you to go to a minyan or to go to a mikveh. So we're here not to do what's comfortable for us. As a matter of fact, there are many people pointing out that now we can do a mitzvah, Shabbos, davening, far more natural than just by habit. Minyan people did. It was their regilus. It was their ritual, their routine. Now, we want to know, do you daven with a minyan because of routine? Because it's like you brush your teeth, lahavdil? Or because the Eibishter says so? We all know the concept of mitzvahs anoshim u'lemoda, to just do mechanical mitzvahs, like a robot. You go through the motions. Today, no, you have to think, what does Hashem want? Not just whether it's comfortable for me. That's when you really become a true Eved Hashem. If you look in Tanya, Perek Tezvav, maybe you've learned it. It talks all about this, that there's a regilus. Regilus means doing things by habit. That's my routine, my pattern. And then Alter Rebbe brings from the Gemara and says that's not called Aveda, because there's no work, it's automatic. It's like automatic pilot. Aveda means you did some effort, you did something different. So, boys, today, this time, we have an opportunity to serve Hashem in a deeper way. Not with our comfort zones and our patterns and routines, but to do it because that's what Hashem wants. So in an interesting, strange way, by not being able to go to shul or to mikveh or even to yeshiva, actually can make us appreciate Hashem, Torah, mitzvahs much more. Because we're doing it because where Hashem wants, not what we're comfortable with. And that's what the Rebbe is teaching us. We're on a shlichus. Is it easy? Of course it's not easy. We have limitations. We can't just go out anywhere we like. We can't just travel. But that's what the Eibishter wanted. So besides doing everything possible to keep healthy physically, protect yourself, your families, and others, based on what the Rabbonim and doctors and medical authorities are telling us, that, as I say to many people, we don't have control over the events around us, but we have control over the events in us. Our attitude has to be, we're serving Hashem now in even a deeper way. In a way that we were not comfortable, in a way we did not plan. And we have to be creative and innovative. So now when you do something, you get on the phone and you call, let's say, a friend that needs a little compassion, needs a few kind words. You're doing something that's not the regular. Or you volunteer to bring food and drop it off at the door of an elderly person. Or other mitzvahs, and I'm sure there's all kinds of ideas that we can come with. That is serving Hashem in the deepest possible way, because that, you see, is coming from your heart. It's not by a routine. So we're on a shlichus now. It's a challenging shlichus, but the shlichus is to continue to be Eved Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Torah, mitzvahs, davening, chassidus, and to demonstrate that we are never victims. We're on a shlichus, on a mission to do something. Sometimes the mission takes us to a pleasant place, and sometimes it's not so pleasant, not so comfortable. That's also a shlichus. Keep that in mind, because that's really the training. I will say something even more. This will pass. Mitzvah Hashem, the Kodev, this virus will end, but we should never forget this time, because as you grow older, this time is when we are tested, what you're made of. When things are going easy, you don't really know what a person is made of. When there's pressure, when there's a challenge, this time is going to teach us that we can be leaders, that we don't just sit by. Now we have to rise to the occasion, to do something unique. It could be extra helping at home. It could showing a little more love to your siblings. It could be showing to friends, people maybe that you didn't speak to in a while. It's getting out of your comfort and doing something more and different. And if you do that, then this time becomes forever an opportunity that we show Hashem we did our shlichus. Not only did we not retreat, not only did we not become fearful, not only did we not get paralyzed, but we actually used this to become better Jews, better human beings, better chassidim, more kind, more compassionate, more refined in every possible way. And one more point I want to make, and then Be happy to open to questions if you have any.
We have a lot of questions.
So let me just say one more point. We're now in the period of Shlichus Eimer. We're counting every day. We're halfway through, actually, between Pesach and Shavuos. Next week will be Lag BaOmer. Why are there no weddings and no celebrations in Shlichus Eimer? So we know. Because there was a plague, an epidemic. 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died in this plague because they did not show respect to one another. Not to go into all the details, how is that possible? But there's a tremendous lesson that the Rebbe would always tell us on Lag BaOmer, because that's when it stopped. That you can be a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva, which means a brilliant person. But Avos Yisrael, Achdus Yisrael, look at this. We're now told that we're forced to not be together physically. So what's the lesson from that? That we have to be even stronger together spiritually, emotionally, because we're still brothers and sisters. So in the Shlichus Eimer, the lesson is we have to create even more achdus and more unity than would have been the regular times. And that's the best eitzah to eliminate all negative things. And finally, Rabbi Yehuda Leib HaKohen, who gave Haskama, he gave an approbation, an endorsement to the Alter Rebbe's Tanya, said that Tanya is the Keteris, the incense, that is the healing of all magefis, all epidemics, that will, meruchnias, spiritual ones, that will happen in Ikvus of the Mashiach. So unity and chassidus, and going back to my original point, just to sum up, that we're on a shlichus, these are the forces we have to think about, the ideas we have to think about in these times. We're on a shlichus, unity and achdus brings us more together, and finally bringing chassidus, learning chassidus, behaving in a chassidish way. These are the ways that we fight. The doctors will fight it physically, they'll look for a vaccine. We have to fight the illness, beruchnius, spiritually, through these methods, knowing what we have to do. The Eibishter will help. There's no question. We do a little part. They'll bring complete healing. And hopefully this will lead us into the Geula Amitis Vashleim.
Amen. Amen. And thank you so much. I think, by the way, Rabbi Jacobson, you answered a lot of the questions already just by that introduction. But let's try to keep the answers short. I guess we could try to cover as many people's as we can. So I'm going to try not to say a name, just so to keep the privacy of the people that are asking it. So sorry about that. So the first question that came up here today was how to deal with boredom. A lot of the Bachrim here today are home all day and they're bored. It's the class, but even during class you get bored just looking at a screen all day. So maybe you have a little tip for that.
Well, boredom is something that you have complete control over. The way you stay away from boredom is to be, you've heard the word proactive. Let me explain what I mean. There's two ways when a problem happens. Some people react and some people are proactive. Reacting means, something happens, then I figure out what to do. Proactive means you wake up in the morning, you don't wait to get bored. You have a schedule. You say, today I'm going to make 10 phone calls to 10 strangers and just say to them, how are you doing? Anything I could help you with? Maybe give them a little vart in Torah, a vart from Hayom Yom or something. When a person takes and sees, going back to what I said, that you're a shliach, you're not a victim. You're not waiting for something to happen. You have to make things happen. Then that is the best solution to boredom. Because there's no time to get bored. You have a mission. You have a job. It's like someone gave you a job to do. Where's boredom come into play? When you have nothing to do and you're sitting around and say, what am I going to do today? Another day, stuck at home. Another day, no entertainment, no this. So the counterforce to boredom is to get
busy. All right. Give yourself a to-do list. That's great, guys. By the way, it's a great advice for everyone. Get yourself a to-do list and every day try to accomplish different things. And here's what it looks like. I'm not sure if this is a question for a Rav, but we'll ask it to Rabbi Jacobson. Are you allowed to be part of a minyan when the other person's on his porch? The Rabbanim were against porch minyanim. Now sometimes some people are saying the Rabbanim said it's okay. Should you join the porch minyanim or not?
I don't want to be paskin here. Overall, in certain circumstances, people can daven if it's in the back and so on. But I would suggest you ask a Rav with the details. Because without the details, davening outside, if there are not the right conditions, could not be appropriate. You may not be even davening with a minion, technically.
Right.
So the most cases where it's allowed is because it's in the backyard, not in the front. So it's more or less like an enclosed area, like a carmelist. But I would definitely suggest, because I don't want to be a person here and say something that's wrong, ask your local Rav, call up a Rav and say, here's where we are, what do you say? Now, obviously, if there's any danger, God forbid, or even suffolk of Pikuach Nefesh, then all this...
You don't even have to ask.
Right.
Very good. Are you allowed to wear a mask on Shabbos, or is it carrying and gloves because of the social distancing?
You're absolutely allowed to wear, not only allowed, you must wear. Because if a doctor and a Rav ruled that it's Pikuach Nefesh, then it's a mitzvah to wear it. It's just like a mitzvah when someone's in danger, Chaz v'shalom, they're supposed to eat chazir if there's no other food on Yom Kippur. That's not a compromise. That the Torah says so. So yes, a mask, gloves, if that's what the doctors, that's what the Rabbanim say, then it's not even a shayla.
Okay, great. So a lot of Bacham are just asking, I just want to put it out there. The questions do not need to just be about Corona. It could be about anything. Someone just asked that, so I'm just going to put that out there. Interesting question. It's actually written by Anonymous, but it's actually interesting. Some people are enjoying this type of life. It's a little more lax. They're home. They're chilled. And they like it. They don't want it to stop. So obviously they want Golas to stop. They want Mashiach to come. But we're all busy saying how it's going to pass. It's going to pass. But they're enjoying it. It's interesting. Okay, it's interesting. So let's keep it short. Let's try to keep it short. But that's an interesting spin.
What's the question? Should they be enjoying it?
I don't know if it's a question. Maybe it's just a statement, I guess. He says, what do I do with it? I don't really want it to stop. Okay, so this Mashiach will come and I'll have...
Hey, look, first of all, it's just like you are not asked for it to start, you're not going to be asked whether it's going to stop. This is up to Hashem. So it's not really up to us. I would say the following. Look, if you have an upbeat attitude and you're happy, I'm very happy for you. You still have a Shlichus. If upbeat, adarabah. There are a lot of people who are down. So why don't you call people and give them a little of your spirit? Make them besimcha. Give them a little simcha. That's what I would say.
Perfect. Great. So here's a very important question that sometimes I'm happy the Bachar asked. When you're sometimes in a position when you're stuck with thoughts that are not the holiest ones because you saw something that was unholy, how can you help get rid of those thoughts? In other words, you saw something unholy, especially now with all the time we're spending online. Unfortunately, something popped up. You saw something that wasn't Kedusha, and the opposite of it, and it's bothering you. What's the best way to get rid of it?
The Rebbe says a number of times, based on Tanya, you have to just move on. To dwell on it and say, I have to do tshuva and I'll say tehillim and I'll fast. No. We all make mistakes. Some things happen that are not up to us. Not to dwell on it is the key. The key is to put your focus in some Kedusha. So if you saw something that's not Kedusha, why don't you go look into a Chitas or a Rambam or go do a mitzvah or go help somebody? We counter not Kedusha with Kedusha. You don't counter not Kedusha by obsessing about it and trying to fight. You don't fight darkness with darkness. You fight darkness with light. So if something happened, add a mitzvah that day, do another tzedakah, do something kind, and just not think about it, move right on. If it happened, move on to the future.
Beautiful. All right, don't delve on it. Okay, great question here. How do you know Hashem is listening? I've been asking Hashem for things for a long time now, a lot of different things, and I didn't get them yet. So how do I know he's really listening to me? Very powerful question. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. First of all, Hashem is not like a human being. He's always listening. No, he's always listening. The question is, how is he responding? It's not even a shayla. Hashem listens. We, the Jewish people, would not be here after 3,800 years if Hashem wasn't listening. The thing is, he doesn't always respond the way we like. Like we ask Hashem, please save this person. Someone asked me, we said till him, why did the person not live? Because Hashem heard our prayers and said no, or said, I want to do it differently. So we have to always remember Hashem is always listening. And our prayers are always being answered, but not always answered in the way that we understand. Sometimes we appreciate it. Sometimes it'll take time to appreciate. That's the bottom line.
What should we say to someone on Mivtzayim? Now, obviously, we're not going to Mivtzayim now, so this applies more when we did go. And he doesn't want to do it. He's not interested. There's no time. What's a quick response to something we could tell someone to get them excited about doing the right thing?
Look, today, I think you can't do Mivtzayim. You said physically, you can do it on the phone or in other ways. Today, you're not going to have that answer for many people because many people say, I'm busy, I'm going to my job, I have to go to a game, I have entertainment, I'm going to a restaurant. All those are closed. The answer we say is, it's case by case. But a person, you always try to speak Dvarim hayetzim min halev. You don't try to convince somebody of something. You speak from your heart. You say, look, Jews have been putting on tefillin for so many years. Jews have been eating matzah if it's Pesach. We give tzedakah. I'm sharing with you like a brother to a brother, something we've always done that's always been a beautiful part of our lives. Obviously, you can't force someone. I think if you speak sincerely from your heart, that you just, it's like giving someone a gift. Say, here's a good book to read. You don't have to read it, but if you encourage, and that's the tone, many people will respond. Words that come from the heart enter the heart.
Very good question, also. Thank you so much for that answer. Question now is like a very powerful question. I think a lot of you people have this one. Why do we daven for a person who is sick to get better? Because whatever Hashem wants to happen will happen either way. It's all part of the plan, and it's for the good, like we're saying now. So why do we even spend our time davening for him?
So in Medrash, there's a story. Turnus Rufus, so one of the Roman philosophers, asked Rabbi Akiva, if the Eibishter wants that you should be circumcised boys at 8 days old, why didn't he create them circumcised? And Rabbi Akiva answered beautifully. He says, if Hashem wants us to have bread, why didn't he give us bread? Why did he tell us to plant seeds of grain? And then you have to sow, and you have to water the fields, and wait till it harvests. And then take the grain, and you have to then thresh it, and separate it, and bring it to flour. And the flour is mixed with water, and because Hashem wanted a partnership with us. Hashem didn't just say, here, it's a one-way street. I'm giving you everything and just eat and drink. He wanted a partnership. Hashem gives us, like a partnership in business. He gives us the resources, Hashem. He gives us the strength. He says, now I want you to make this world a better place. So everything in life is like that. When Hashem says, here's life, and someone falls ill, I want you to daven. You're a partner with me. I want you to pray. I want you to reach deeper into your heart and to my heart and bring healing. It's always a partnership. We are not off the hook. We are partners, and we have to do our part. Hashem will do his part. We have to do our part.
Shkayach. Now, here's also a nice question. Thank you for that. That's right on target. There's a mitzvah to keep yourself healthy, right? That's the mitzvah that we're all hearing about. So, but the problem is right now there's so many different opinions of what is healthy. Stay indoors, don't go out. Go out to get fresh air. Don't do this, do that. How do we judge what's the correct way?
You have to find your doctor or your Rav. You don't run around to 55 doctors. You have to find a doctor you trust, maybe your family physician, and call him up or read his guidelines and follow those guidelines. Yes, there are different opinions, a lot of confusion out there. But the Torah knows that, and the Torah says follow the one, like I say, find your Rav, find your doctor, and just follow that. Overall, all the doctors are saying that we should be quarantined, we shouldn't go back to business as usual. At the same time, they're also saying, fine, get fresh air, but be careful. This doesn't mean suddenly we have to mingle. Stay away from other people. You never know, especially young people can carry it and affect others. Wear a mask, wear gloves. This is more or less the consensus. Are there people who say otherwise? There may be. That's why you have to have your doctor, and that's who you listen to. Just like a Rav. You follow your Rav.
Right, otherwise we get lost. Shkach. So here's a very powerful question. I think a lot of 13-year-olds probably have this question. A lot of times, I think how my parents, mashpiyim, expect me that my future should be something of a shabacher or a shliach. That's how they envision me. But sometimes I don't imagine myself that way. I don't know which direction I'm heading, and after do I see myself the way they want me to be. So how do I deal with that?
Look, we all know that our parents mean the best for us. Are they perfect human beings? No. So I think it's a matter of having good communication. If your father or your mother expects something from you and you really don't want to do it, what's wrong, especially now when we're all trying to be nicer and kinder and gentler, what's wrong with sitting down with your father and mother and say, look, I want to hear what you're asking of me. I'll try my best and say, some things I can do, some things I'm not so comfortable. I think any type of normal, decent conversation like that will go far. Now, you may have parents who are just very stubborn and just want you to do things and they don't listen and they're not interested. Then I have to say is either you have to then be much more diplomatic or you find a sibling or someone that could speak to them. It's again, case by case. It's not so simple to answer because every situation is different. I would hope that you could speak to them. But if you can't, then you may have to find a third party to speak if they're continuously demanding things of you and everybody's getting frustrated.
Okay. I guess we have a large spectrum of questions, so let's try to
How many students are here, by the way, online?
I know we have about 44 now. There was about 50 before, but because we're a little overtime, so there could be some who have to go.
It's fine. So do we have 44 questions?
I don't know. There's like 30 more here, but I'll try to. I'm going in order from the beginning, and maybe we'll have, if Rabbi Jacobson has some time, maybe another week we'll have a second session, and I'll save all the questions.
Sure.
So next question like this. Maybe you, Rabbi Jacobson, could suggest some good maimarim of the Rebbe to learn, especially about davening. Any specific maimarim that come to mind that you could tell us about davening?
From the Rebbe.
From the Rebbe. It doesn't have to be a long list. Just even one maimer or something that comes to mind. If not, it's not.
There's a maimer called Tefillah LeMoshe from that the Rebbe gave out. It was the year of the Rebbe's Kapitel Tovshin Nun, I think. So that would mean that the Rebbe was that year was what Kapitel would Tefillah LeMoshe be? But it's a mimer from Tovshin Nun. It came out then. That's a mimer that talks about tefillah. That's a good mimer. Yeah, that's what I would suggest.
We can look that up. Okay, this is a very interesting question here. I never thought of that myself. Someone who risked his life in communist Russia during the Holocaust to do the mitzvahs, all of a sudden now he can't do them now. So I guess that you really did address that earlier. Maybe you want to add a little twist to that because here he is. Here he is risking his life for it, and then now he's told that now they're bottom my telling you not to do it. I guess
as I said, the Eibishter runs the world. There are times where that Hashem wants us to do something, and there are times He wants us not to do it, and we have to just get out of our trap of thinking we know better. We don't know better. This is what Hashem wants, and as much as a Jew was Moshe Nefesh, let's say in Russia, to daven, to go to a minyan. Then he was able to go. It wasn't danger to his life directly. If it was danger, he shouldn't have gone down either. Now, the Eibishter is saying clearly there's a physical danger to be with others. Unfortunately, Rahman al-Islam, we've seen casualties. So that Hashem wants us. I mean, you all know the story with Rabbi Elimelech and his brother Abzusha.
Yeah, we've told that story, right. We've told that story many times.
With the prison.
Right, with the bathroom.
So basically, like I said before with the Frierdiker Rebbe, now this is
a
way Hashem wants us to serve. And I know it's not easy because it goes against everything we've been doing till now. But that's, as I said, the test of our time is to do what Hashem wants, not what we want.
Okay. Thank you. Can we answer Kaddish and Kedusha, whatever, Baruch, I guess, on Zoom? So I think I already heard an answer. I don't know if Rabbi Jacobson wants to say. I heard that the Rabbanim said if it's a minyan that's live, happening at that time, you can.
Right.
Is that what you heard?
You can, because there's a din of Shulchan Aruch that even if you're home, or you're not there when the time that the minyan is davening and you daven, even if you're not there, you can be yetzer with that because the minyan is happening. So based on that, answer is in most cases yes. If it's a live minyan, not a recorded one.
Okay, this is actually a good question. I don't know if you can answer this. I know Dr. Muhammad, we had a school psychologist speak about it a little bit, but he's asking again. I'm going out of my mind looking at a screen for so long, a whole day. We have a lot of school time. Any tips for someone like that?
I think everyone knows that you have to take a break from a screen. You can't just sit on a screen all the time. I think in many of the online classes, they take much more breaks, like at 20 minutes, half hour. I don't know. I'm not sure what the guidelines are because it's true. A screen can make you crazy. So I really think if you feel that you're in the middle of a class, you could just raise your hand and ask to, you need a few minutes break. I'm sure the teacher and the Rebbe the Malamed will give you that time. And just go with everybody's different. Some people can concentrate longer. I think taking many breaks is not a problem. And maybe even healthy to be continuously watching the screen. What's your guidelines by you when you give classes? I'm sure you take breaks more than, how often?
No, you're right. So I guess basically, if you have to feel like every once in a while you should go look at the sun, look at the outside a little bit, get some fresh air, and don't just stare at the screen all day. Yes, it could affect you.
Yeah, that's what's going to be my second point. That it shouldn't always be by screen. You have friends, you may have siblings. There may be, other ways you can get on the phone. There are ways, or read something, or do something a little more light. You can do a jigsaw puzzle. You can do color something. Some arts and crafts. Some people like music. Listen to music. Well, not now, but in general, or something creative like artistic. Do things that stimulate not just your eyes and your ears and your mind, but also your feelings. And there's a lot of ways to do that. People have different. Some people love carpentry. I know a lot of people taking on different handwork, painting a bit. I mean, try things. It's good to experiment. This is the time to experiment.
All right, this is a very nice question. Someone's asking, how is it that in the times of Rabbi Akiva, they knew the cause, the ruchnistic of one of the Magefa, and today we don't. We're also having the exact same Magefa. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, already a lot more than 24,000 of people perished, and we all go crazy. We have a whole sphere. I'm elaborating on that one because I was wondering the same thing. We have a whole sphere for what happened then. Unfortunately, now our numbers are a lot more than 24,000. We don't know the reason for it, and isn't that, how do we look at that? I guess we'll conclude with that one, Bachram. We'll allow Rabbi Jacobson to answer that. I will try to, right now, keep the rest of the questions in the chat that came in, which I thank everyone for posting beautiful questions, very on target. I didn't skip almost any of them. So they all were very appropriate. And Rabbi Jacobson, maybe I'll be in touch with you off record to maybe reschedule another one in another 2 weeks or so. We're still in Golos. We shouldn't be.
So to answer that question, look, we only know what we're told. The story with Rabbi Akiva's students, the Gemara tells us, that's how we know. There are many times things we don't know the reasons for. We don't know why the Holocaust happened. So for us to speculate and say it happened because of this reason or that reason, it's not our right to do that. Only Hashem knows. And if Hashem wants to tell us, he'll let us know. What we do know is we learn lessons. We learn lessons. We learn that since they didn't respect each other, maybe that's a good idea, is to strengthen our respect for each other. Avos Yisrael. We know the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed to sinas chinam, so we add an avos chinam, in loving people unconditionally. The point is, we don't know why things happen, but I saw in Pesach, Achosh Pesach Tov Shin, the Frierdiker Rebbe says in the name of his father, the Rebbe Rashab, who's 100 years from his Yortzeit this year, Tov Resh Pei, Tov Shin Pei, says an interesting thing. He says, Hashgacha Pratis, we don't know farvos. We don't know why something happened. But we ask Sulibvos, what is the reason for it? Not why it happened, what we're supposed to learn from it. We don't ask farvos why, we ask for what cause, toward what end, meaning what are we supposed to learn from it. So we may never know, and it's not relevant. If Hashem wants us to know, let us know. We have to think of it in terms of just like my father ended up in the hospital. Why was there a snowstorm? The end of the day is we don't know the reason, but we know one thing. The result from that is that you have to add in Yiddishkeit. You have to add in the storm. The pandemic that's negative, we have to increase in a pandemic of goodness and kindness. That we know for sure.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rabbi Jacobson. It was really special. There's other questions here about sports and about dealing with friends who would think differently, but Mitchell will have a different opportunity. Thank you very much. Hatzlacha Rabba and everything you do.
Make sure you post the recording so we could all watch it and see it.
Yeah, Mitchell will do that. Just have to figure out how to do that. But I think the last time I gave it to me a little recording at the end. Thank you so much.
You finish it. Just make sure you save the recording, and then we can tell you how to upload.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Anyway, boy, be well. Hatzlacha Rabba in your learning, in your Torah mitzvahs, in your davening, in your chassidus, and let all serve the Shlichus we have to serve now, and make everybody proud. Klal Yisrael, your families, your communities. Everyone be well and strong.
Hatzlacha.
This program is brought to you by My Life, Chassidus Applied. Please help us continue our programs. Make even a small contribution at chassidusapply.com/donate.